Thank you, Tia. Thank you to all the speakers. If you are still here with us, we are ready to close out this virtual symposium. This has been quite an experience and a lesson for all of us, and I know I've gotten quite a lot out of it. I'm going to go through and capture what I heard, or try and capture what I've heard. Just briefly, my name is Kathy Fontaine. I'm the co-chair of the planning committee for this symposium, along with Carrie Sawyer. So any complaints go to us. Any compliments go to Rick and Wenbo and the GEO Secretariat. So a little bit of the numbers that we got to this week. We had over 1,700 pre-registrations. And of that, we've had over 400 Slido participants log on through the week and offer nearly 1,000 questions. Excellent conversation, excellent questions, many very thought-provoking. We live streamed to both YouTube and CDN video, and we can tell that we averaged probably 100 views per session, sometimes higher, sometimes lower on YouTube as we were going live. And as replays, we don't know yet. But we are going to have these all available in case you missed us. So what did we talk about? This is a word cube a word graph that Slido very helpfully produces from the questions and the text in the Slido chats. So you can see as the theme of our week was EO for impact, the words reflect what we as a community think are important. What is the impact to the capacity building, our own capacity? What is the impact to development, to funding, to knowledge, to the users, to the community itself, to the data? GEO being the central word here is I think very interesting because we both have an impact going out to the community, and they in turn have an impact on our activities and our decisions. So I like what we've talked about. We have probably a longer list of future meetings and collaborations and potential webinars coming out of this meeting than we know what to do with. What are some overarching messages I heard this week? People have an impact. Every session highlighted the value of both co-design and interactions. Everything from the COVID-19 session to the one we just saw highlighted their interactions with individuals in the middle of the issue needing the resolution, and highlighted how important it was that those people who are directly impacted or directly involved have the opportunity to talk to us, talk to the data providers, to talk to the architecture experts, to talk to the discipline experts, to talk to the capacity building experts. All of us, the talking and the impact and the conversation is at the core of the co-design that we are treasuring so deeply here in GEO. So people continue to have an impact. And even though we can't see each other face to face, we can only meet virtually at the moment, we need to continue these conversations. Earth observations still have a very strong impact. GEO itself, obviously, is the group on Earth observations, and one of our goals is to provide Earth observations to anyone who needs them. So we saw examples across the spectrum, everything from AquaWatch to GeoGlam and everything in between. I wish we had an activity that began with a Z so we could do an A to Z analogy. But we've seen how sharing Earth observations and working with the customer, with the people directly impacted, and customizing those Earth observations to the extent that we can or are able is very valuable. And then our convening power has an impact. Our convening power is one of the things that we treasure about GEO. GEO's strength, besides its volunteers, is the fact that we bring people together to raise issues and create solutions jointly. We heard a lot in this closing session about the value of creating the solution together. And I just want to emphasize here that even though our convening power was virtual this time, I think personally it was just as effective as it would have been in person, and perhaps even more so in a couple of aspects. So I'm going to go through and give you a few highlights from each session. The pandemic is impacting all of us. And we heard in session 1 that there is now this huge opportunity, along with the harsh world that we live in at the moment, the restrictions, the closures, the illnesses, the overwhelming to the systems. It still has provided us with an opportunity to renew an effort in global research. There is an impact that to be made by Earth observations on the COVID-19 research, and we will continue to pursue that. Session 2, we talked about our interactions with UN agencies. This is critical in the work program that GEO continue to engage UN agencies and intergovernmental organizations. In order for our products to be effective and meaningful, they have to be linked to specific policy questions. And what better place than the UN to find these policy questions? Now, there are many other organizations that have high-level policy guidance that we can help support. So please be on the lookout for these and bring them into the GEO community so we can see how the solutions can be crafted. Session 3 talked about our GEO Knowledge Hub. It is still in development, but GEO is now at the point in its life where sharing knowledge, not just the data, not just the products, but the knowledge and the lessons and the insights is critical to continued success. And so we look forward to the GEO Knowledge Hub being available and open and ready for us to both provide information for the hub and learn from experiences for people who are pulling information from the hub. Session 4, the Ask Me Anything for the co-chairs, shows us that really the co-chairs are very approachable. You don't need to be afraid of them. But so is the rest of the program board. Please do not hesitate to contact us either directly or through the Secretariat. We are always here for you. Session 5 talked about the specific technology of data cubes. Data cubes are everywhere all of a sudden. I know it seems like all of a sudden, just as with any other overnight success, there's been a lot of work going into developing data cubes. They may or may not be the answer in every situation, but data cubes are incredibly powerful tools. But they are also incredibly compute intensive, and they require a lot of sophisticated Earth observations and techniques. So it's going to require a lot of interaction between the people who are experts in data cubes and the GEO community to make these tools even more effective and more powerful. Session 6 talked about the GEOS infrastructure task team. The infrastructure continues to grow and evolve as GEO grows and evolves. Clearly, there's always room for more participation. There's room for more input. There's room for more conversation. Anybody who's interested, please contact Doug Kripe. He can hook you up. Session 7 reminded us that GEO does a self-evaluation periodically, and that evaluation is underway right now. Please provide input. We can only grow when we learn from our users and we learn from our interactions and we learn from our feedback. So if you are contacted to provide input into the survey, please, please, please see if you can carve out some time to give some good answers to us. And even if you can't, if you have some information you want to share, please send it to the Secretariat and they will pass it on to the evaluation team. In session 8, we heard about capacity development programs. These programs need to understand the needs of end users and leverage both existing capacities and new and developing capacities, but you have to continue to work to create and maintain the trust and diversity of the teams. You still, again, with the co-design, you have to do this as a joint effort and really have to focus on the desired impact. I know there's often a temptation, if you have a solution, to provide the solution whether or not that's the answer to the problem. So the conversation is always key. Session 9 introduced us to the regional GEOs. 4 of our regions talked about their efforts. Regional GEOs are almost a way to interact with the neighborhood, interact with your local partners before you come to the larger plenary. But they are a vital conduit for surfacing issues and sharing solutions. So if you are unsure where to go, please contact your regional GEO and they will point you in the right direction. In session 11, we heard about integration of ocean and coastal data. Integrating these 2 key areas is going to be very important to achieve global policy frameworks on reducing disaster risk and supporting sustainable development of the ocean. And I read that out because it is very important as written. In the past, too often, ocean data and coastal data have been treated as separate entities. We need to work on integrating those 2 and then combining that with other elements in order to support global sustainability. Session 12 this morning was about, or afternoon or evening, was about essential variables. One of the key messages here is essential variables are here to stay. Whether we understand them or not, whether we like it or not, they are here, they are in each discipline. Our challenge within GEO is to both participate in their either creation or refinement as appropriate, and then constructively shape their use in our context. And then we heard from the Resource Mobilization Group, excellent conversations there and in every other session. The consistent message, nothing can be done without resources of all kinds. This can be money, this can be in-kind contributions of machines or people or any other knowledge. But the landscape, as we heard, the landscape of where the resources reside and who the key players are has evolved and continues to evolve. So there is no one single, one-size-fits-all model for finding resources. One of the keys here is to be flexible and to make sure that your approaches are creative, that you don't stop after one attempt, but keep going, keep moving at it. If your project is of interest, you will eventually find a resource for it. Some final thoughts from me before I turn it over to the other 2 people in this group. I want to, as others have, give a very heartfelt thanks to the GEO Secretariat for all their behind-the-scenes work, especially Rick, who I hope now is taking a nap, and Wenbo and Craig. Thank you to the planning team, to my co-chair Carrie Sawyer for getting this meeting together. None of us signed up for a virtual meeting when we volunteered to organize this, but we did make it through. Very special thank you to all the presenters, the special guests, the facilitators, and the question monitors. Your jobs are absolutely essential, and we very much appreciate your taking the time, presenters, to videotape your presentations beforehand. We've been hearing a lot of feedback during the week about how vital that was in helping to understand the sessions. And finally, to those of you who are watching, we can't do this without you. Thank you so much for your attention, for your time, especially those of you who are on the very early and very late ends of this live stream, for your attention, for your interest, and your questions. We have had a lot of questions asking, can we see these after? Absolutely. The videos will continue to be posted. You can go back and look at them anytime. The recordings of the live sessions will be available very soon, so you can go back and watch those. Remember, as I noted at the beginning of the week, we have 2 awards calls open. The Individual Excellence Award is open until August 31st, and the EO for SGG Award is open until the end of June, so please consider nominating. And finally, if you receive a post-symposium survey, please, please, please fill it out. That's the only way we know how well we did, whether some similar format as this will be useful in the coming months, or whether we should never do this again. So with that, I want to stop here for a second, and I want to introduce our Secretariat Director, if he is on, Gilberto Camara, to give us a few final closing remarks from his perspective. Gilberto?
Hi, Kathy, and hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so on behalf of the whole Secretariat, my first words of thanks is to you and to Carrie Sawyer, who have done a fantastic job of organizing this in this workshop. And it turned out, to everyone's not so surprise, but a certain learning curve, that organizing a virtual workshop is in many ways much more difficult than a real one. Lots of details that have to be looked over and over again and tested all over again. And you did a magnificent job, obviously also with a fantastic support by Wenbo Chu and Rick Byman, because they did also a great job. I think we learned one important lesson here on this workshop, is how alive the GEO community is. Because given all the difficulties of, getting together, different time zones, problems with generating the videos and people attending and everything, we had a very good symposium, obviously with very good standards of presentations, attendance, questions. And this showed that the community, despite this very difficult moment that we're facing, is very much alive. So I think I'm going to pick up on you, Kathy, because I think you represent, in a certain sense, the spirit of GEO. People who believe on the vision of the organization, who consider the world would be better, is better because we coordinate, we cooperate. And I think that is the spirit that led us together. And that is the spirit that made us, surpass enormous hardships and get the symposium going with a lot of meaningful and important content, as you just mentioned. So it is an enormous pleasure and honor as Secretary Director to see how many people have devoted their careers, their interests, their nights, their weekends, their hearts to GEO, and to this idea that together we can achieve something. So many thanks to everyone. And I think everyone should go home today or rest or sleep or wake up with a sense that, it's a little and a tiny bit. You also help the world move forward. And that's what counts, and that's what's important. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you all, specifically Kathy, Carrie, Wenbo, and Rick, and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilberto. We appreciate your comments. I'd like to now give Yvonne Petiteville from ESA, who is one of our program board co-chairs, the final word. Yvonne?
Thank you very much, Katie. Yes, my name is Yvonne Petiteville, but if you prefer to speak English, you can call me Ivan Littletown. I will answer anyway. This has been really a great GEO Symposium, as Gilberto just said. The only positive point of that pandemic is that I've been able for the first time to participate in this symposium, to all the sessions wearing my slippers, and sometimes a Mickey Mouse t-shirt. I've really been impressed by the high quality of this first virtual GEO Symposium. I've been impressed by the outstanding organization, by the professionalism of the speakers, and the very informative presentations. I've been also impressed by the high number of registered persons. Katie just mentioned 1,700. That's enormous. In previous editions of the symposium, we never had so many participants, and I hope that many more persons will watch the recordings in the coming weeks, because widening the GEO participation to economically poor colleagues and students, to those that cannot afford a mission to Geneva to participate in the symposium, is really key. I have followed all those sessions this week and I've learned a lot, but there's one thing that has struck me in particular, one thing that for my memory had not been so much highlighted in the previous symposiums. There have been so many references to the user, intermediate user, final user, and to cooperation, collaboration, partnership. I've looked at my personal notes from last year's symposium just by curiosity, and there were very few presentations mentioning the users. While this year, all sessions addressed in one way or another the user and the cooperation. And this is really the convening power of GEO. For instance, there have been many references to user-driven needs. We've heard also many references to the participation of all relevant communities to the co-design and co-production of the GEO activities to ensure that the results meet the need and that they are usable. We've heard also just in the previous session also that it's important to get funds. There have been also many references to the engagement of the stakeholders, UN agencies, the multilateral development banks, and in the context of the international treaties and the conventions. And I don't think there's been so many representatives from the UN institutions in the past GEO symposiums. So like me also, you've heard many speakers advocating for reorientating GEO from a data sharing to information, experience, knowledge sharing, with the objectives of better serving the scientific community and better informing the decisions and the policymakers. Finally, also there are many presentations also address capacity building and the collaboration at all levels, local, national, regional, global. By training, I love advanced science. I love innovative technology. These are not end in themselves, but they are necessary if you want to achieve the goals of GEO, for building a user-driven GEOs and GEOs that benefits to society. So this necessary refocus of GEO on the users and on the major societal challenges is the result of the vision, the passion, the perseverance of the GEO Secretariat Director Gilberto Camara, and that with the support of all his staff has really managed to convince and steer the whole GEO community towards a more user-centric approach to an enhanced cooperation. So thank you very much, Gilberto. Many thanks to all the GEO Secretariat staff for your excellent work accomplished beyond the symposium. So now I will invite everyone to unmute for a big round of applause for all the persons that have contributed to the success of this symposium, and to all those that contribute every day with their work and talent to make GEO great again. Thank you very much and stay safe.